Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is the day we're installing the Roto-Fab cold air intake system on my 2012 SS Camaro. Now this is going to be a how-to video of how to remove the factory air inbox system and replace it with the new Roto-Fab cold air. Now this will be a step-by-step video that you guys can follow along for when you guys purchase your cold air. You don't have to pay someone to install it. You can follow this video and do it yourself, save you a whole bunch of money. Now before we jump right into this, just like to remind you guys, go ahead and subscribe, comment, like the video down below. It'll mean great for the support for my channel to bring you awesome content like performance parts, 1,000 horsepower trucks, 1,000 horsepower Camaros. All these things are going to be coming on my channel very, very soon. So subscribe so you can get a hold of some of that great content. All right, guys. So step one on this removal of the factory air inbox is first, obviously, you got to remove the engine cover. By doing so, you got to remove the oil pan. Just place that aside. Just lift up from the front and then pull towards you. Comes out no problem. Also, once that's off, remember to replace the oil cap. You don't want nothing getting in there. Second thing you want to do is this breather hose. Needs to be disconnected from the valve cover. Okay, so this is a better shot of the breather tube going into the air box, and it goes around and it goes into the valve cover. Now we have to remove it from this side. So this side, it has a little clip that you slide that way and then pull. So you just slide that way and then you pull it out. Now you just have to pull it out far enough just so it comes off of the nipple, and then once we remove the whole air box, this will all come out with it. All right, guys, the next step now is to remove the two nuts holding the air box in. There's one nut, there's two nut. You'll need a 10mm socket with a ratchet. However, I'm a little bit too lazy for that, so I use power tools. Carefully remove the nuts and do not drop them. Next, we want to remove the mass airflow meter. That's just before the air box. Now to do this, you'll see this gray, get a better shot of it. There's this gray retaining clip here. You're going to want to pull that out all the way till it can't go, and then push back in just a little bit because you need room to push this black tab in, and then it'll just slide right off. Okay. So once you got the mass airflow off, the last thing to do is to remove the clamp off the inlet tube. All right, so after you loosen this, the trick to just pop it free is you just grab the front of the tube and lift up, and then pull back towards you, lift up again, and there it goes. Pops right off. Now once you have the air tube broke free from the throttle body, you come over to the box side, and these are fit pretty firm, so you just have to grab the bottom of the box, give it a couple persuasion pulls, just like that. And now you can come out with the whole unit, come straight up to clear the washer fluid reservoir, and the whole thing comes out. Once you have the whole air box system out, you're going to need to remove the air mass. Now the air mass is fastened with two 7mm bolts. Go ahead and remove those and put it out to the side. And there you go. All right, guys. So now since we removed the mass airflow from the old box, we have it here. We're going to install it in the new box. Now there's a couple things to look at to make sure you have installed this correctly on the new box. Now, if you look closely, there's an arrow. See that? Now that is the direction of the airflow. So that's where the filter is going to go, and it's obviously going to be pulling air from the filter and coming through this end. So that's one way of checking to make sure you're installing it correctly. The other way is that it simply will not line up to the screw holes if it's in backwards. Now you put it in this way. That's the correct way with the air flow in the right direction shown by the arrow. Now, say you wanted to put it in the other way. Well, you give it a little flipperoni It will go in, but look, the holes are way off. Will not line up, will not mount correctly. So make sure to look at both those facts. Turn it around, put it in, make sure the arrow is pointing towards the motor and the holes line up. So now we're gonna go ahead and fasten these with these M4 screws that was supplied with the Roto-Fab kit. Also guys, when fastening this down, go evenly, screw a little bit on each end so it seats even, and do not over tighten. These sensors will break if over tightened, and you don't want to spend another $300 to $500 on replacing these, because yes, that's how much these cost. Hand snug is good. And there you are. So now we're on to installing the weather stripping to get a nice seal of this box inside the engine compartment. So now the kit comes with two lengths, the longer one and the shorter one. We're gonna start with the shorter one first. And as you can tell on the end here, there's an angle cut. So when you look over here, this is the one that's gonna go along this turn here. And it's angled so it could get in that corner. And as you could tell here, there's a groove here. And there's actually like a metal bead on both sides to keep the tension. So what you do is you just go on here and you press firmly, just like that. And you follow it all the way up. All right, so once you followed that all the way through, as you can see, looks nice, sealed all the way in there. You pressed in firmly, it gives it a nice seal. So now we got the longer piece to go. Now this piece goes up on top here. You see this little notch right here? So the weather stripping is gonna start right there. Start right in the beginning, push down firmly, follow it all the way through. The weather stripping should be all nicely wrapped around the top and around the bottom. We give this a little flip around here. And now we're ready to install one of the hump hoses. Supplied with the kit, you're gonna go ahead and put this on with supplied clamps. Before you tighten down this clamp, you wanna make sure that the hose is pressed all the way up against the bottom here so there's no gap. Tighten the clamp down. Hose is hooked up, clamp down, ready to go. So now we're ready to move on to the inlet hose. Is this bad boy right here? Let's get it unwrapped. Well, once I got it unwrapped, I was happy to see that it isn't the chrome one. It is the black one, which is great. So now, moving on, as you can see, there's this threaded hole here, and you're gonna screw in a 90, which is right here, supplied by the kit. Right in there, you just thread her on in. No need for any type of thread dressing or anything. You just go ahead and throw her on. And of course, after installed, as you can see, there is a little nut there. You could put a wrench on it. Don't over tighten, as it is only plastic. And you want it to where it's pointing out the same direction as the air tube. Okay guys, now after all the prefab is done on the box, got the weather stripping, we got the mass airflow, we got the hose connected. Now we're ready to drop it in its place. Now remember, on the bottom of this, it's a little nipple. That goes into the factory grommet of where the other box snugged into place. And then also, this little bracket right here with the hole is gonna go on the factory stud that held the original airbox. Line up the grommet with the stud, press down firmly. Now that's in place, you can now use the supplied flange nut. Go ahead and mount that sucker in. There is now a wire loom that is supplied with the kit that actually protects the wiring for the mass airflow. Now you want to install this as close to the connector as possible and feed it all the way down. Just a little bit more added protection for the wiring. All right, now it's time to go ahead and reconnect the mass airflow. Push in until you hear a click, and then go ahead and push in the retaining clip. you're going to install the other hump hose with the supplied hose clamp, and we're going to slap it on the throttle body side. Now, obviously, there's two sizes, two different inlets. We're not going to put the big side on because look how loose that is. So we're going to flip it around and make sure, a lot of us done this already, make sure you put the hose clamp on first before sliding it in, or else you ain't going to get a clamp on. You're going to have to undo the screw all the way, feed it, it's a pain in the butt. Put it in like this, trust me. And you're going to want to go, work it, wiggle, shimmy, cocoa, boom. Then give that hose clamp tight. Now we're ready to install the 90-degree air inlet tube. Now, there's a few things you need to look at to pay attention before installing this. Number one, the 90-degree fitting needs to be on the throttle body side, pointing towards the motor. This notched out area goes into the hump hose tube into the box. Now remember, before installing this, put the clamp on first. And I'm kind of OCD for having all the clamps the right orientation. It just looks nicer. So look at what you have on the box. How is that clamp mounted? And match it to this tube so it looks nice. So it looks like my clamp is towards the engine side facing up. So I'm gonna have towards the engine side facing up. Slide it in as so. Put the clamp over there. So now we could install the other side on the throttle body end. First put the clamp on, match up how the clamp looked on the throttle body end. Right side facing up, right side facing up. Put it on first, up, and shimmy it on in. Okay. All the hose clamps are fastened, all in the same orientation, looking good. So now we're down to one of the last parts. Remember the nipple? And there was a hose that came off of the factory one into the valve cover. There's a nipple right there. You could see it. I know you can. So that's what the supply hose is from. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna run it underneath the throttle body, like so, just like that. Then use your other hand, and I think you could see the nipple. Yeah, you can see that. And then you just slide it on through. Make sure it goes all the way in. And there's a little barb there. You want to make sure it goes over that, just so you know it stays in. All right. Then you could grab the other end here, just like that. All the way in. Looks good. Play with it, make sure it's in there secure, it's not binding on anything. All the way in. And remember guys, it's just a breather tube. It's not like it's a vacuum line or something critical or it has to be clamped down airtight. Just a breather tube. We're installing the ginormous filter on the inlet tube. It already had the supplied hose clamp. Slide it in, give it a nice little in, and it'll snap right in place, as you can see. Rotate the hose clamp so you could see the fastener nut, and go ahead and give it a tighten. Okay, once you give that a tighten, look at that. Looking good. All right, and there's one little final step. As you can see, AC tube resting really close to that box. Now, here's that protective covering. It's just a little rubber sleeve here. Now what you want to do is you just slide it on over. Okay, once you get it in, it'll protect, because this gets a little hot, it'll protect it from touching that, you know, possibly burning off the powder coat and doing whatnot and what so forth. So now, last thing to do, put the engine cover back on. And of course, if you remember how you took off the engine cover in the very beginning of this video, you first had to take off oil fill cap. Now, if you notice, it has these little hooks here, clips, grabbers, hands, whatever the hell you want to call them. These hook on to the little grommets in the back. So what I usually do is I hold it up like this so you can see where those grommets are. Line it up, push it in. They'll kind of like snap in, and then just drop it down. Done. Full cap back. And there you have it. Roto-Fab cold air intake installed 2012 Camaro SS. Now this is the same setup for all 5th gen. So 2010 to 2015, same setup. Same install procedure. Fire this thing up, give it a test drive, make sure everything is good. And that's it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead, show your support, give me a subscribe, comment down below, let me know. Let me see some pictures of your guys' installs. And I respond to all comments. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks guys. I'll see you next time.